little late to the intro. Fritz forgot to do it. Let me know in the comments if we should fire him. How was that, Fritz?
It's pretty good.
Today we are working on a Florida Panther with a night on bottom. So on this piece, we're looking for some nice forward movement. It's, a face here, smaller face here. We don't want them running away from us. We want them coming towards us. So we have this forward movement accomplished by that. It broke the elbow barrier. I always think it's weird when things just stop here. So we brought that down to a nice V shape. It's pretty hard to go wrong with the V shape anywhere on the body. So that was just kind of a clean cut. We have this nice cut here, smaller face, and this is gonna mesh right into this at the top. So this piece is gonna have a realism style to it. Maybe a little more realistic than some like my dark art pieces. I am still using the 3RL. The 3RL is great for the armor on the knight. With the 3RL, you really can control every detail. So all these little, texture, rust points, breaks, chinks in the armor are pretty easy to accomplish with the 3RL. I will show you what I'm talking about with these texture points. So if we come over here on the armor, you can see I kind of created this little shadow right here, which is very easy to kind of go jagged with the 3RL. And then I'm going to continue that. I'm just going to continue to make these like little wavy patterns, and this will show some distortion in our lighting on the armor, and it'll kind of make it look like weathered or aged, like he's been through some battle. The cleaner you make the armor, the less aged it's gonna look, the less weathered it'll look. So if you want some nice armor that looks like it's been through battle, you wanna be changing those shadow points. You wanna be, messing with the texture a little bit. Add like a little shade over here, a little shade over here. And it's gonna make it look like little like dents or areas, where it got worn away. That's how we're gonna make this armor look like it's been through a beating. But yeah, again, please, if you think we should fire Fritz, a lot of you are probably wondering, John, how do you get such cool textures in your metal? And it's all about reference. And that's why I have Logan standing right here. So I make sure I get all my cool reference points for this. Thanks, Logan.
Sorry.
And then I had to structure the knight to fit in this V gap, which honestly, that was kind of difficult. I'll show you the video playback with how many fucking variations of the knight that went through. I had forward facing side, I had the 3/4 profile, all this going through, and I wasn't even quite sure like what I was looking for. Most of the time I know exactly what I'm looking for. So I just tried a bunch until I saw something that I liked. And then I noticed that there was, after I had, this face in, this body in, there was still some empty space on the side. So I just added the sword in there, and I'll keep it lighter, but it gives me that kind of flow cut point that I want. Because I was kind of going back and forth. I was like, should I put in some negative, flow patterns? And then I was just like, let me put in the sword, see how it looks. And once we put in the sword, I was like, okay, I think that's good enough. It breaks that up a little bit. Because parts of the Panther face are still very light, so I didn't want to overdo it with negative, because it would have been white on light. on day 2 of this Panther night piece we got going on here. Just finished the setup. Yesterday, I'll show you guys in a sec, we got about halfway point. So today we're gonna be focusing on this Panther. As you can see, the lighting is really dynamic, so that's really what we're going for today. And what I mean by that is we have a full range of our grays, everything from blacks to light. This is what we're really gonna be focusing on today. Maybe even going a little lighter on some of the stuff with the Panther because we did go so dark on the night. We're unwrapping what we did yesterday. Let's take a look. Yesterday we worked on the night. So we have, you know, the head of the night here. We have this kind of light sword on the behind him to break up this dark area. You see kind of this smoke coming from his head to transition us into the Panther. Today we're really just going to be working on the Panther and the cap of the arm. So like I said, we have nice dark kind of bottom frame here. We have this nice V cut breaking the elbow barrier, which I think wears really well, keeping this light, being conscious of the darks we have. So anything that meets this dark is going to be light. Anything that meets this dark is going to be light. And we're going to transition right into some nice contrast on the Panther. So let's get into it. Let's get him stenciled. So this is your first tattoo, right?
Yeah, first tattoo.
What made you decide to start with a back-to-back big-ass tattoo right off the rip?
So in general, I mean, my family has all had tattoos before. I've never had any. 28 now, and I kind of just thought of like the ideas that I would want, but never could really find like an artist that I thought could do whatever I envisioned until I saw some of your work and was like, that's it. So kind of just shot my ideas towards you, see what you could do with it, and kind of made it come to life. So it's pretty impressive.
Now, did you get advice that like, yo, you should just go big right off the rip? I mean, because you could have just started with something small, right?
Yeah. No, so I mean, just the elements that I wanted in it, I think I kind of realized it was going to have to be something bigger.
Got you.
And then I've seen people that have got it like in person that have gotten work done by you, and just looks unreal. So go big or go home, I guess, right?
Cool. And then is it what you expected? You know, pain-wise, I mean, whole experience-wise, but pain-wise?
It wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be pretty excruciating, and I think, honestly, I think we did, what, 8 hours?
Yeah.
So 8 hours sitting there. I think my butt hurt more than my arm.
Yeah.
Just sitting there, but honestly, I enjoyed it, the whole experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, a back-to-back right off the rip, pretty ambitious. I mean, if I could suggest that for everyone that wants big work, I would, because it's like, oh, you get the most done, you just kind of get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But I think it is less common for people with their first tattoo to just start with that. But I think it's sick that you went that route.
Everyone I've talked to is like, you're doing a back-to-back, good luck. But,
yeah.
You know, yesterday I had such a great experience that I'm not really worried about today at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got the stencil on. I'm just gonna round out this cap so I kind of know where to end the shading. So I want it to fit the top of the arm nice. We'll let that dry and we'll get into it.
Perfect.
We almost have the mouth on this Panther finished. Whenever we're doing animals, the question always comes up how to do the hair texture. A lot of people will do the individual line, like hair by hair. Some people just do kind of like smooth shading in place of it. I kind of like to do something in between where I am creating some, you know, I guess movement in the texture, but I'm not gonna do every single little hair. I just don't think in the long run it's worth it. So I'll almost like shade in the direction that the hair is moving in to give it that effect. You know, it will hold up. A lot of times when I just do each individual hair in the heel, I'll lose like half of it. So it almost feels like, what was the point of doing all those little hairs? So you see me with the 3-liner, just kind of shading out in the direction that the hair is going to kind of give it that effect, building out the chin, you know, and then I'll just put bigger shades right over, you know, the texture that I've just created to keep it dynamic, to keep the value, to pull things forward, push things back. I'll shade a little bit in this direction. I'll, you know, frame out this hair here. Kind of put a little shade over it, push it in the background a little bit. And I'm literally gonna repeat that process throughout the whole face. So like the hair's here, I'll be shading this way, the hair's here, I'll be shading that way, you know, and you're just showing that direction. I'm really gonna put emphasis on the blacks. That is, you know, what's gonna show us really where things are defined in this piece. I'm not gonna worry too much about the negative. Another thing is there's always whiskers, you know, in these large cats. Do yourself a favor, take the time to really sculpt those out nice. When you have some janky whiskers, it just kind of makes the whole piece look like shit. And that's where everyone's looking, like, oh, how'd they do on the whiskers? We are building up the cheek right now of this guy. Got all the whiskers going. A little tip, or something that I do when doing whiskers, is a lot of times, you know, I'm brushing in these grays here as appropriate, but even in areas where it's like really dark gray surrounding these negative whiskers, I'll come back in with a really deep black, and I'm just gonna feather just under the whisker. This will give me a chance to like really clean out the whisker, make sure it's nice and sharp. And it's just gonna provide a little bit more structure to these whiskers, and you're really gonna notice this when the tattoo heals. Now, if the whisker is going over something light, like this whole area over here is light, I'm not gonna do, you know, the black line underneath, but I might come back in and feather it with a light gray for the same reason, just kind of building up the structure a little bit, just fine tuning it. It makes the whiskers look a lot cleaner, giving you a better result at the end. And the reason I'm doing it underneath is almost to mimic like a drop shadow or something. We are coming to the end of this 2-day session piece. Right now I'm just filling out the top cap of the shoulder. You saw before I kind of freehanded just the shape of it, so it's really nice and form-fitting. And I'm just patiently bringing this fade out. I don't really like hard cuts on the shoulder. But at the same time, I have a lot of negative on the side here, so I do need this part to be dark, but I don't want to bring black to the end of the shoulder. I just kind of want it to fade out. So I am just gently working this fade away from our negative space on the tattoo. But we should be finishing up in 20-30 minutes. Just kind of putting some of the final touches on this fade. I'll come back, take a look at the piece as a whole. I'll check my contrast and values. I'll probably hit it quick with a bigger mag just to get those values perfect, and we will be done. So like I said, I'm just working on this fade here, and I'm just really lightly going over it with the 3 until I get the shade that I want. And this will take a little bit if done correctly. You don't want to rush your fades. Years ago when I would do the fade, I wouldn't be patient, and I would just like rush the blacks and push them out, and it just kind of looked like sloppy. I think the key to getting a really smooth fade is just being patient, layering it, and just moving slowly, So I pretty much have all this skin open. What I'll do is I'll come back and I'll take a mag, and then just to get those dark areas, we kind of have some skin tone here and here, but that's part of our background, so we don't want that to be skin tone. We want to push it all behind to really bring out this cheek and this ear here. So I'm going to be using my mag and actually be going over that skin tone as I'm pulling the fade out. And by doing this, like I said, it's going to push the background in the back. And it's going to bring that like eye socket forward on the Panther. You can already see it started to do this a little bit. And the more that I do this, the more that effect will happen. Now you can see I did leave these little, shapes and negative space things in the background just to break it up a little bit, have a little bit more going on, almost like things out of focus. I think it makes our background a little bit more interesting than just a blank fade. And a lot of those shapes I just kind of drew in by hand, where I felt like there was too much space or just needed something to break it up. But you can see even from this little wash I added here, it really brings this forward where I want it to be and pushes that back. So I'm just going to really lightly hit the outer parts of this with a wash, just so it is not skin tone, just something other than skin tone. And now it becomes part of our background. We're able to keep the fade in there. Sometimes you don't get the background 100% perfect with that 3RL, and just to save time, I'll use a big mag because it doesn't have, too much skin penetration on it, and it'll just kind of act almost as like a blender. Smooth the whole thing out a little bit, push that fade down. Right now I am using water in my black, so I'm not hitting it with straight black. Dipping in the black, hitting it with some water just to dilute it a little bit. And then I'm just brushing over the whole thing, and that'll give us a nice smooth shade. I'm also running my machine low. I'm running it at 4.5. So I'll get this in here and I'll show you guys kind of how we smoothed it out. And by brushing the mag on top of the 3RL, we're still able to keep that 3RL texture. So you'll see me do that a lot. You'll see me pretty much do the piece in the 3RL just because I like that kind of like spotted texture. And then I'll brush over with a mag, and I get to keep that and push it in the background. So now we really get to see the face. And then just the final touch is really just to bring it out. I'll dip my mag in some black, and just on the edges, I'll throw in like some solid black against the negative space to really get that contrast that I'm looking for and make it pop. Not much. You're definitely going to notice it in the healing process. Might not be as drastic when it's fresh. Also gives you a chance to clean up your outside of the tattoo. So now we've just made that fade way more dynamic, way better contrast. We're getting the little hairs on the ear and the cheek to pop out. We are done. Made it to the end of the 2-day session. So I did put some white in this piece, you know, a little in the teeth, the kind of cheek here, the eye. I did a few of the whiskers, just to bring a few to the forefront. Not all of them. I hate when people outline every whisker in white. You know, a little in the sword. I feel like you should always treat your piece like you're not going to put any white in it. White is just bonus. So very minimal white. Got this nice cap here. So we are done. How are you feeling at the end of 2 days back to back?
Feeling great. This whole experience was awesome. It was definitely worth the wait. I just want to thank you for the whole experience. This was a great time. Yeah. Thank you so much.
So this is your first tattoo, right?
Yeah.
Did it meet expectation? Was it completely different than what you thought?
It was completely different from what I thought. Definitely exceeded my expectations for sure. I was a little nervous coming into it, but you guys definitely...
What were you nervous about?
Just not really knowing what to expect, just in general.
Yeah. Did you think it was going to be like excruciating pain?
A little bit, yeah, for
Right.
sure. Because like people will be like, "Well, you're doing it back to back. Good luck." And it wasn't like that at all. Like it was a great experience, and like you guys have been nothing but like welcoming to me and like everything like that. So it's been great, and I'm like super ecstatic. So I just want to thank you again.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully we kept you entertained.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
With the passerbyers and people coming
Yeah.
in. Now, did you get even close to a point where you felt like you were gonna tap out? Was it pretty manageable the whole time?
Not at all. I told my buddy that's here with me that basically like I would look down and kind of forget that you were even tattooing me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So would you say like for people that haven't got a tattoo, it's definitely possible to get big tattoos right away?
100%. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Awesome. Let's get to the best part, dude. Taking pictures.
Let's do it.
So we have our final product. Let's talk about the piece a little bit. The first thing I love about this piece is that it goes all the way around. It takes up the whole area. We don't have, you know, negative skin here or here. With this panel, that's how I think you should properly fill it out. Also, it reaches all the way on top. You know, it comes up to his shoulder muscle. If you leave that too short, it's gonna make the body look weird. You know, you want to go with the body, go with the muscle. His shoulder comes up here, so we should bring the tattoo up there. As you guys saw before, I faded it out, so we don't have a hard cut where we're like defining anything specific. We're just fading it out, so it's going to come with this really natural flow into the body. You know, we have, you know, the cat facing forward, we have the knight facing forward, we have good direction. You know, the flow of the arm comes this way. We have the nice roundness of the head to fill out the calf. So all of our flow points line up. I like the contrast and the values. You know, you have dark here, broke it up with the light sword, light smoke, light chin, dark mouth, light source, again on the snout, dark nose. Like we follow this pattern all through, and we have a nice top light on the head, and that's why we have the darker background. So I really like that it's following all those rules. We took up the whole area, you know, and we're left with a completed piece. There you go.